Hey guys, Ariel over here at Nyth. Gonna do a little demonstration of how I'm watering my garden right at the moment. This is the creek below my house. It's gone down quite a bit. I'll show you where you can tell that in a minute. You can see some of the debris left on the far bank there from the spring flooding. And right at my feet here is something called a trash pump. Now, before somebody asks me too many questions about this, I don't own this. I'm borrowing it from my neighbor. I feed him with the stuff I grow in the garden, and he's letting me borrow the pump to water the garden, so it's working out. So I'm not sure exactly how much this costs. I know they're at least a few $100s. Anyway, what it does and why it's called a trash pump is it will pump water with dirt in it, up to a certain extent. I think up to at least covering the silty stuff, though the water is now starting to clear up. I've been using this for a few weeks. The silty stuff that is in our spring melt water. That will go to being totally clear. I know some places you guys aren't used to totally clear water. This will be crystal clear. This is only this brown because of the melting snow. And right down there, kept down under the water by those two rocks, is the intake. That's got a little filter on it so it doesn't let any dirt in that's too big, but you can see those holes will let in somewhat sizable chunks of dirt and definitely the silt and such that's still mixed in that water, making it cloudy. So anyway, the water comes in right there. It's a 2-inch hose, comes up to the trash pump. It's a little Honda. I have just filled this up with fuel. So to start it, I just need to turn the gas on. So the grass blades are in the way here. Gas on, choke on, start on, which is that little lever over there. And this usually, so you can hear one of the trucks from my neighbor across the hills construction. Usually it's going to start up on the first pull. Which it did. This runs right up, hopefully you can still hear me, to 2 1-inch pipes. It pumps enough volume that it was going to be hard on the motor. It just run 1 inch. So it ran 2 1-inch pipes, mostly because the 1 inch is cheaper. I'm going to follow the pipes as we go up here. And I already had a bunch of 1 inch from an extra project. Here you can see it going up the hill. The green and black 1-inch pipes are from the trash pump that's running right now. There's water going through them. This is from my water ram, which I will be hopefully putting back in the creek here shortly. Had to take it out for the winter so it didn't freeze, and then the water was too high to be able to reinstall it. The water, as I've said, I'm walking back up toward my house now, has gone down a bunch. At one point it was going over the top of this big boulder. So you can see how much it's dropped. That whole gravel bar was covered. It's now high and dry. So anyway, it's going down. But this is the creek that's down below my house. I'm going to walk up a little bit is the long way around, but the easiest path to get back up the hill. You can probably hear the pump noise is fading already. The creek noise is covering it up. Got lots of different wildflowers blooming along here that are just in the woods doing their thing. Wild geraniums, more wild geraniums. Delphinium all just starting to open here, and so on. And over to the little nearly invisible entry to my footpath I made up the hill to my house, because this hill was very steep and inconvenient to need to crawl up and down. This is kind of the back way into my clearing. Also what I use if the front lane that I drive on gets too crazy muddy in the spring or fall, which does happen. Here going to run into my fence. Keeps the deer out. Not a very official gate, just a loose flap, but as long as I tuck it back in, the critters don't seem to push on or mess with, so that's my gate. Now we're up top. One of those 1-inch hoses is running right here. The other's just over this way a bit. They're each connected to a T with 2 hoses on them. So from the pump I've got 2 1-inch lines running uphill. From each of those I have 2, see if I can find the connection here in the reeds, 2 separate garden hoses running off of, you can see right there. So I've got 4 hoses actually being powered by that one pump down there. Pump is kind of back there behind my water tank and downhill. I can still hear it. I don't know if the camera can, but it's not very loud. And that's running enough pressure up here to run 4 of my sprinklers. See if I can keep the camera out of the water. It's hitting me. You can see one there in the garden. The trash pump does not really pump pressure. It just pumps volume, but it pumps enough volume that I can run 4 sprinklers. Excuse the noisy, somewhere I've got a raven family whose babies are just leaving the nest and they're squawking rather loudly. There's the 3rd pump, or 3rd sprinkler, I'm sorry. And the 4th one at the moment is over here watering the one flower bed. It is a hot day today. It's close to 90, and just trying to make sure everything stays nice and wet and keeps growing. And here you can see pump, or sprinkler number 4, soaking everything nicely over here. These sprinklers, see if I can zoom in, are just real simple little pieces of metal with 2 holes, and so just the volume being shoved through the hose makes it spray out in a pretty round circle, and works really well. Now I'll drag those around, you know, when that's soaked for a little while, I'll drag the sprinkler over here and water the raspberries, and then over here and water this end of the raspberries, and move the 3 in the garden around, water the other berry bushes, the flowers around the house, the lawn, which needs mowed. Beautiful clover patches going on right now in full bloom. But yeah, water all those flowers and maybe soak the garden a 2nd time. So that is how I'm currently getting water up here. If you've been following my videos for a while, you know that I did build a water ram last year. That pumps with no external power. This pump, you didn't see me fill it with gas, but it does run on gasoline. It's fairly efficient, but you do have to have gas. The water ram does not require any extra power. It also does not pump either the volume or the volume to create the pressure. So I can't run a sprinkler with it. Running the sprinklers is really handy. But what it does do is pumps water to the top of the hill round the clock with no gas or anything else needed. So when I get that back installed here, hopefully in another week or 2, when the water goes the rest of the way down and I'm not worried about, you know, tree trunks and stuff being washed downstream because of the spring runoff and smashing my pump, I will put that back in and do a video tour of how that works. But this is my current setup, and I will probably, as long as my neighbor's fine with me continuing to loan his pump, use this off and on through the summer just to be able to run sprinklers, since that is handy for some things. And as I said, my water ram will not actually run the sprinklers. So just wanted to give you a quick tour on how that is working. If you're wondering about the other water tanks and stuff you saw over there real quick, they are for my water ram system, so I'll go into detail on that when I do a video on that topic. That's all. Have a great day. Thanks for following, guys.